Welcome back to Sarge's Hotline. I'm Sarge, and tonight we've got 5 drivers on the line with 5 different questions about this industry and life behind the wheel. If you're new around here, this is pretty simple. Drivers call in with the questions, and I give them the best answer I can based on what I've learned from my own time behind the wheel, working in operations and safety, and more than a decade helping drivers with their careers. I won't always have the perfect answer, and you might not always agree with me. That's all right. Sometimes the best conversations start when 2 people see things differently. So let's get those phone lines open and see who's calling tonight. Let's start tonight with Blacktop. He's been driving about 6 years and he's thinking about making a change. Blacktop, you're on.
Sarge, would you ever quit a driving job before you had another one lined up?
Blacktop, unless there's a serious reason you need to leave immediately, my advice is pretty simple. Know where you're going before you leave where you're at. It's a whole lot easier to look for a better job when you've still got a paycheck coming in. And don't just take the first offer that comes along because you're mad at your current company. Ask questions. Find out about the freight, the miles, the home time, the equipment, and what drivers are actually earning. Make sure you're moving towards something better instead of just running away from something that frustrated you. Sometimes leaving is absolutely the right decision. Just make sure you've got a destination before you start down that road. All right, let's grab another call. Next up is Night Owl. 14 years behind the wheel, and he's got a question that's probably going to get some opinions.
Sarge, what's your take on driver-facing cameras? Safety tool or somebody watching over your shoulder?
Night Owl, I'll tell you right now, you're not going to get every driver to agree on this one. Personally, I think it depends on how that camera is being used. A camera can protect a driver. If somebody cuts you off, causes an accident, or makes a false claim about what happened, video can tell the real story. But I also understand why drivers have concerns about privacy. That truck isn't just where an over-the-road driver works. For weeks at a time, it's also where they live. So I'd want to know exactly what that camera records, when it records, who can see it, and what the company's policy is. The technology itself isn't necessarily the problem. The real question is who's using it and how they're using it. And we're going to dig a whole lot deeper into driver-facing cameras in an upcoming Sarge's briefing. We've got Georgia Peach on the line next. She's been driving about 3 years, and she's trying to make one of those decisions where there really isn't one right answer for everybody.
Sarge, would you take less money for more home time, or keep running hard while the money's good?
Georgia Peach, that's one of those questions where my answer might not be the same as yours. It depends on what matters most in your life right now. If you're young, you've got financial goals, and you enjoy being on the road, maybe running hard and putting money away makes sense. But if you've got a family at home and you're missing birthdays, anniversaries, ball games, and everything else that doesn't happen twice, that extra money starts costing you something too. Every driver has to figure out what enough looks like. Enough money, enough home time, enough life outside that truck. There's nothing wrong with chasing a bigger paycheck. Just remember, money can be earned again. Time can't. Find the balance that works for your life, not somebody else's. All right, we've got Tulane up next. He's been out here 9 years and he's asking about something every professional driver is eventually going to face.
Sarge, how do you handle it when somebody wants you to do something you don't think is safe?
Tulane, you handle it professionally, but you stand your ground. You're the one sitting behind that steering wheel. If you're too tired to safely drive, the weather's too dangerous, the equipment isn't safe, or something just isn't right, speak up. Explain the problem clearly. Document what you need to document, and don't let somebody else's urgency become your bad decision. There's a difference between refusing to work and refusing to do something you honestly believe is unsafe. Freight can be rescheduled. Appointments can be changed. Trucks can be repaired. But once something goes wrong out there, you don't always get to take it back. A professional driver doesn't just know how to move a truck. A professional driver knows when that truck shouldn't move. We've got time for one more call tonight. This one's from Old School. 31 years behind the wheel, and he's asking a question I imagine gets harder to answer the longer you've been out here. Old School?
Sarge, How does a driver know when it's finally time to hang up the keys?
Old school, after 31 years, I don't think anybody else can answer that question for you. Maybe it's when your health tells you it's time. Maybe it's when you don't feel as comfortable behind the wheel as you used to. Maybe you've got grandkids at home and you finally decided you'd rather watch them grow up than watch another million miles disappear underneath your windshield. Or maybe one morning you climb into that truck and realize the road just doesn't feel the same anymore. There's no shame in knowing when it's time. 31 years behind the wheel is something to be proud of. Think about all the freight you've moved, all the bad weather you've driven through, all the sunrises you've watched through that windshield while the rest of the world was still asleep, and all the younger drivers you've probably helped along the way without even realizing it. Maybe you don't stop being a truck driver the day you hand over the keys. Maybe you just stop driving the truck. Because after 31 years, I'd say you've earned the right to decide what the next road looks like. Well, that's going to wrap up another night here on Sarge's Hotline. Thanks to Blacktop, Night Owl, Georgia Peach, Tulane, and Old School for tonight's questions. And remember, these might be their questions, but I guarantee there are drivers watching tonight who've asked themselves some of the exact same things. If you've got a question you'd like to hear answered on a future episode, drop it in the comments. You might hear your question come across the hotline next time. And while you're here, hit that like button, subscribe to Truck Stop Talk with Sarge, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Be sure to join us again next Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central for another Sarge's Hotline. Until then, drive safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you at the next truck stop.